I would spend my summers between Alabama and Mississippi as a child. I remember going to church every Sunday with my grandparents. My grandfather was the deacon of Zion Hope Baptist Church in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. My grandfather had a strong presence within the community. After church, we would go home and change out of our Sunday clothes. Not soon after arriving home, the men of the congregation would meet with my grandfather in the dining room to discuss who was in immediate need within the community. Each member would volunteer food, time, clothing, money, or shelter. The ladies of the church would fry whiting fish outside of my grandparents' home, as the men finalized plans. Children were running around playing tag, climbing trees as the smell of fried fish lingers. My stomach is growling. As each batch of fish was complete, a fish sandwich was assembled wrapped in a napkin, with the dressing you select: hot sauce, ketchup or tater sauce on white bread, cup of fresh lemonade, and a slice of watermelon. After the meeting, my grandfather, a retired moonshiner and farmer, told me and my brother to gone down yonder to the shed and get me some empty boxes. I replied, "Grandpa, where's yonder?" He looked at me and said, "The shed, baby." It took us about 1 hour to pull out the boxes from the back of the shed. Once complete, we went into the house and enjoyed Sunday dinner, chicken and dumplings. My grandma had dinner prepared before we went to church that morning. She would wake up every morning before sunrise and pray first. When we woke up, you could smell food cooking and Folgers coffee brewing for my grandpa. The next morning, before the rooster crooned, we went out into the fields, picked and filled each box with fresh fruits and vegetables. My grandpa, brother, and I loaded up the trunk and the back seat of my grandpa's blue Studebaker. The car smells like sweet peaches, collard greens, onions, corn, blackberries, garlic and bell pepper. The pleasant yet sweet aroma of fresh food filled my nostrils and makes my belly growl. We drove down the dirt roads, stop at each home on the list, and place a box on the front porch. One home lingers in my memory till this day. The gray paint had become worn over the years, front porch steps were in disrepair, rusty roof sinking in the middle, broken window, covered with cardboard with a lifeless garden. Faded chips of white paint is all that remained on the wooden fence. One chicken clucking around the yard, a broken down army faded green truck, 1950 Ford sitting in the middle of the yard. I say, "Oh Lord." Red flag, blue X marks the spot, white stars patterns in the middle part. The flag is the only item that wasn't in need of repair. I knew from watching Roots recently that it was indeed the Confederate flag. In my 6-year-old mind, I'm thinking, why are we her? And didn't Grandpa see Roots? Grandpa hops out of the car, grabs a box of food, and places it on the porch. When he got back in the car, I say, "Grandpa, why you give them food and they hate us so much?" He replied, "Baby girl, they starvin'." In those days, once your elder answered, it was the final answer. His kindness reminded me of my grandmother's gentle words spoken the night before at dinner: "If somebody comes knocking on a door and they hungry, feed them. For it could be the Lord." A few days later, another hot muggy vacay day. It was raining off and on, and I can smell the red clay dirt permeating in my nostrils. The smothering heat made me feel sluggish. Lazy, I dragged myself from laying on the porch swing and watching it rain hard and then soft. Bored, I go into the house to play office at my grandpa's desk. The fan is rotating back and forth, cooling me down a bit. My feet dangling over my grandpa's chair, I begin skimming through my grandpa's books and notice that in certain instances, he hadn't collected rent since 1962. The smell of collard greens cooking saturates the whole house, my belly growls loud. Our family had accumulated acres and acres of land over the decades. We had farmed this land, built homes, mobile parks, birthed and raised families, grazed livestock, and installed oil rigs. I grab the books and find my grandpa, who was reading the newspaper at the kitchen table while drinking a cup of coffee. I take the books to him, lay them out on the kitchen table, and politely ask, "Did you know these receipts are 13 years old?" He replies, I then say, "Sir, we need to add up how much each person owes and collect right away." My grandfather looks past the newspaper with a loving smile, lets out a chuckle, and says, "Sweetheart, all family. Our tree flourishes when you fertilize the roots."